My last two videos have done really well. They both got over 14,000 views, which is more views than I ever thought they'd get. I knew they'd get more views than normal because they go towards a more broad audience than my previous content, but the amount of views and comments are literally just crazy. It has genuinely blown me away. Ever since my Eric Singer video, my iPad has unfortunately broken, so I haven't really been able to make or edit videos since my iPad has all my programs on it, so I'm planning to make more funny moments videos in the future, but for now, let's be patient and appreciate what we've got. Secondly, I would like to apologize to anyone who asks where I get my clips. A lot of them come from other Funny Moments videos or just random interviews I watched. I'm not good at keeping track of things, so there is a high chance I won't be able to find the source of a specific clip just because I'm disorganized. I'd also like to apologize to this person because I find some of my clips from their videos, which I don't think is really a bad thing since neither of us own the clips, but in my Tommy Thayer video at timeskip 151, it shows text on the screen of KissFan420's video that I honestly didn't even notice was there until the video was up. I know no one really noticed or cared, like, at all, but it's been on my mind a lot lately, so I just wanted to mention it just for clarification. I'd also like to thank everyone who just left such positive comments on my last video. Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer are both people I look up to so much, and I appreciate everyone who was kind and not leaving meaningless hate and harassing a 14-year-old. You know who you are. The last thing I want to mention before I actually get to the CD collection is that my content over the past 6 months has been on a slow change. I went from posting every day to unlisting most of my videos and being quiet for months. Honestly, I felt like animation was just not working out for me, and it really took a toll on my mental health. I want to shift my content from animation and art to music and talking videos, which would include compilation and funny moments like my last few videos. Funny moments isn't all that I want to do though, but it is fun to edit and create, so I still will likely be doing what I do for a while. I just don't want all my videos to be funny moment videos. Music collecting is something I care a lot about. It makes me happy to do something I really like. I really enjoy going to the music store every few weeks and buying another album. It's just so thrilling to me. Physical music is something we have started to appreciate more in the last couple years, and I'm really excited about that. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to my current music collection. I may need to do some updating in the future since I'm not even close to the end of my collecting journey, but as of January 17th, 2024, this is Lipstick Killer's music collection. I want to start off with the first CD I ever got, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn by Pink Floyd. Technically, I got my first CDs in a stack, so it wasn't just the one, but this album was the first CD I ever listened to, so I count it as my technically first CD. I was obsessed with this album for a very long time, and it came from my dad's collection because he literally has so many. Actually, I'd say most of my current CDs came from my dad's collection. I also own Ace Frehley's 1978 solo album, which I plan on getting the other three, Paul, Gene, and Peter's, when I can. I have the Beatles' Help album. Funny story about this one. I was walking to the park with one of my friends, and we saw this table out on someone's lawn, and a sign that says, "Free because Jesus loves you," or something like that. And we decided to take a look to see if there was anything good, but I kind of just glanced at it before I tried to walk away. But my friend was like, "Wait, no, there's a Beatles CD." And at the time, I didn't really listen to the Beatles, but I picked up the CD anyway and listened to it when we got home, and it was great. I don't know, I just love telling that story. Not all these have stories behind them, so I'm just gonna try my best here. Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet, Bon Jovi, One Wild Night, and Bon Jovi, This House Is Not For Sale. I got This House Is Not For Sale at my first trip to the record store. I have two Cinderella albums, Night Songs and Heartbreak Station. My mom actually got me into Cinderella when she gave me her Heartbreak Station CD, and she said it was one of her favorites growing up, which I thought was really cool. I honestly didn't want to listen to them at first because I thought they'd be lame because of the band name Cinderella, but they're actually really cool, and I'd highly recommend them to any metal or rock fans out there. I also have Creed's album Weathered, and the Donnas' Spend the Night, both of which I got for Christmas. I have two David Bowie CDs. One Bowie CD I have is the Little Wonder collection. It's pretty much 45 minutes of the same song, but like four different versions of it, which I think is pretty cool. Funny story about this one too. I was at the music store with my dad for the very first time, and I really wanted a David Bowie CD because I was really obsessed with him at the time, but I couldn't find any, so my dad asked the worker if they had any, and the worker basically told us that he didn't think they had any more because someone earlier in the day had come and bought like three. So my dad looks at him and he says, "What's their address?" And I don't know, it's a funny story to tell. But anyways, I bought the Little Wonder CD and I also got the Best of Bowie CD on like a different day. Best of Bowie is actually a really cool album. I really like the album cover, and I recommend it because it has all the best songs. I have three Genesis CDs. One is the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. I saw it at the music store, and I didn't really know much about the band, but I'd heard of them before and had never really listened to any of their music, but I thought the album cover was cool, so I bought it, and now they're one of my favorite bands. Thanks, Genesis. And speaking of Genesis, I still have two more, one being Turn It On Again, The Hits, compilation album, and the other being The Way We Walk, a live album. Next up on our CD journey is Halford's album Crucible. Honestly, I had never heard of them before I owned this CD, but it's interesting cover art, so yeah, I'm keeping it. Speaking of cover art, I do have Joe Satriani's album Dreaming Number 11, which he has a pretty cool jacket on in the cover, so that slays. I have lots of Kiss albums, which I kind of can't just skip over since they're my favorite band and I spent way too much money on them, but I own Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, Creatures of the Night, Dynasty, Lick It Up, Love Gun, Dress to Kill, Destroyer, Asylum, which the original case may or may not have broken when we opened it, oops, and Hot in the Shade. If you counted correctly, yes, that is 10 Kiss CDs, and yes, I do plan on getting more. Honestly, these albums have such good songs on them, and the first time I went to the music store before I was into Kiss, I saw the Revenge album, but I didn't buy it, and now I regret that to this day. Next, I have Luscious Jackson's Natural Ingredients, and if you don't know who Luscious Jackson is, it's okay, I didn't either. They're a really good, 90s alt band, and I highly recommend them if anyone out there is, a big fan of, alt rock. I also own a Paul Simon album. I think it's, a box set sampler or something, because when I bought it, it didn't have an album cover, but it was cheap, and my dad recommended it, so here we are. And if you thought The Piper at the Gates of Dawn was my only Pink Floyd CD, you would be wrong! Terribly wrong! Because I also own Metal, The Dark Side of the Moon, Relics, The Wall, The Division Bell, A Foot in the Door, whatever this thing is, and a world tour live album. I'd personally argue that The Wall is just slightly better than The Dark Side of the Moon, but I'm no expert, so who am I to even talk? I hope we can all agree that Pink Floyd is one of the best bands of all time, alongside some other classics like Queen. In this convenient transition, let's talk about Queen! I have 3 Queen CDs that I actually got for $15 in a 3-pack at Walmart. And while I highly recommend not going music shopping at main brand stores like Walmart, I recommend you go to a smaller local music store instead. It's honestly too good of a deal to pass up, so I bought it. Now I own Queen Greatest Hits 1, 2, and 3. We're almost done with the main collection and are about to move on to the ones that are less organized, but before that, I must mention I do own a Rolling Stones CD set similar to the Queen one. It was a 3 CD set, but instead of coming in 3 separate cases, they fold out like this. So yeah, I thought it was cool, and so I just had to buy it. I have REM's album, Automatic for the People, which my dad bought for me. Honestly, I highly recommend REM. They're really cool. We're about halfway done here with Vinnie Vincent Invasion's album, All Systems Go. Pretty sure I got this one from Amazon, which again, I highly recommend not getting music from big businesses, but this one was just really uncommon and difficult to find, so I think I had an excuse. Where do I even move on from here, because the rest of them are just in a disorganized pile? Let's just start with the recognizable ones. I have Pearl Jam's 10 and Boston's album Boston, as well as Led Zeppelin 2 and this one with the weird cover that I think is Led Zeppelin 4. I have Korn's Follow the Leader, which, fun fact, doesn't start until track 13. The first 13 tracks are blank, so it's silent for a few minutes, which really confused me at first, but I thought it was broken. Speaking of broken, I have Warrant's Cherry Pie album, which actually is broken, as in it only plays the first song before glitching out and pausing. It was my mom's and she never knew it was broken, so maybe it needs to be cleaned or something. I don't know, but anyways, let's talk about CDs that aren't broken, like my Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers Greatest Hits CD. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers made some really great music, and it's usually not too heavy, so it's just chill to have in the background while I do stuff, and it's not too distracting. I also have Grateful Dead's album, Skeletons from the Closet, which I am 90% sure is a compilation album. Speaking of compilation albums, yes, I'm overusing that transition, but anyways, I also have Deep Purple's Smoke on the Water and Other Hits CD. This one I got for Christmas from my friend. Okay, back to the recognizable ones, Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. This was also one of my first CDs. The best song on this album is, in fact, all of them. I also completely forgot, I have another Guns N' Roses album I think is called GNR Lies, which I also totally thought was a compilation album, but just looking it up now, it's actually a studio album, so oops. I have Poison's album, Flesh and Blood, and my mom gave this one to me without the album cover, so I didn't know what the cover looked like, but I just looked it up, and ew, do I not like that? That gives me sensory issues. But anyways, I think I do need to get the album open up and say ah, but I unfortunately do not have that one, so this is all the Poison we get for now. Next up, we have Skid Row's album, Skid Row, that my mom also gave me because she has really good music taste. She also gave me this CD from the Steve Miller Band, which I think is their album, Book of Dreams. We are so close to being done, so let's make this quick. I own Smash Mouth's album, Fush You Mang. Am I saying that right? I'm sorry. But yeah, it has really good songs on it, but I also really need Astro Lounge. Oh my god, we have 5 left, so we can do this! The Cure, Wild Mood Swings, which is such a good band, by the way. If you like goth music, you should definitely listen to The Cure. Bands that start with the and the letter C, I have The Clash, The Singles, which is a compilation album by The Clash, and I honestly don't listen to The Clash enough, but I should because I think they're cool. I have this thing called Singles, which I think is a soundtrack of some kinds because it has a lot of different stuff in it. But yeah, it has some good songs from bands like Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam. And here we are to the last one, the Mighty Mighty Bosstones. I don't know what album this is since it doesn't have a cover, but my dad gave it to me and I think it's really, really cool. Okay, so I am a little bit silly and I do actually have this Soundgarden CD. I really wanted to get the video done. So here it is, and goodbye. Now back to the outro. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Hopefully I'll get my iPad fixed soon because I've been recording and editing this video all on my phone, which is very difficult. But, I will see you guys next time, and goodbye.